Okay, so thanks to everybody for joining us. We'll get started. So, my name's John. We'll do proper introductions in a moment to a few other people on the call who are going to be speaking as well. But just to make sure everybody's in the right place, this is the webinar about Starting London, a new LMI platform, labour market information, I should say. Shouldn't use acronyms. That's coming this September. So we're going to be talking to you more about how this is going to help you to inspire and inform your students about some of the great skills and employability and employment stories that are going on in and around London at the moment. So we'll get into the detail of that, and the reason why we're talking to you about this now, even though that this is launching properly in September, is just to make you aware of what's coming and hopefully to inform some thinking over the summer about how you'd be able to embed this come September. And we're going to go into that in a little bit more detail as we go through the session. So hopefully everybody can see my screen, and we're going to whip through some slides. So without further ado, I'll do some proper introductions for you. So my name's John. I'm one of the directors at UXplore, the careers guidance company that's behind the creation of this platform. I'm going to be talking to you about the platform in a little bit more detail, but I've also joined by Tracy Eve. Tracy's the strategic hub lead for local London Careers Hub. Tracy's going to say a few words and introduce herself in just a moment. And I'm also joined by a couple of colleagues from UXplore. We've got John Paley on the call. John's going to be talking about the content and the resources and the lesson plans that we've been creating. And we've got Louise as well. Louise is one of our customer engagement specialists, and she's going to be talking to you about how to get access to this and what you need to do in terms of next steps. So they'll all appear at different points throughout this session, and we're going to get started. So I'll just show you a quick agenda. Like I say, Tracy's going to speak in a second just to give you a few words about this kind of pan-London project, a collaboration between the 4 careers hubs and ourselves. So Tracy's going to give you a little bit of background into that and why it's important, or why it's so important and why you need to engage with this. I'm then going to go into a kind of an overview of the platform and talk to you more about what's coming and when. We'll talk about support that's available for you to help you to make the most of this. And like I say, Louise is going to talk us through that and the next steps in terms of getting access to this platform and all that support that we've got throughout the next academic year for you. So we'll be on the call for about 30 minutes or so, and then there's time at the end for questions. But if you've got a question in the meantime, just pop it in the chat. I've got my colleague, obviously Louise is here. Another colleague, Jenna, who I'll introduce towards the end, is here as well. She'll be able to kind of respond in the chat directly. But what we'll also do is any questions that we see pop up, I'll do a whip round of them at the end, and we'll be able to talk them through if we can't answer them in the chat in due course. But we'll do all of that towards the end. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Tracy. And Tracy, if you just want to give a few words about the project.
Yes, sure. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, John, for the introduction. So I'm the Strategic Hub Lead for Local London Careers Hub, which is in the east of London. And all of the Career Hub Strategic Hub Leads have been working really closely together across London in order that we can bring you the development of this product, of the Start website. All of the Career Hubs felt that because of all the developments, major economic developments going on across London, and the need to supply more information to young people, more labour market information to young people, especially post-pandemic, that it was really important that we support you in providing more information through the Start website. So this product, this development, has now been extended, not just so it's got national labour market information, but local labour market information right down to borough level. So you can work with your students and with parents so they understand what's going on in the local labour market. And hopefully they'll start to recognise the brilliant opportunities that will be coming about now and in the future in terms of jobs, apprenticeships, and learning as well. So We hope you enjoy using it going forward, and you find it useful with your students to promote labour market information. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy. Few people have been joining us just during Tracy's intro there and everything. So if you have just joined us, we are recording this session, so we'll be sharing a link to that afterwards. So the little bit that you might have missed, you'll be able to catch up on. So thanks for that, Tracy. Now that we've got a little bit of the kind of context, I'm just going to go into a bit of the background as to what we've been doing to develop the platform and address some of those challenges and opportunities that Tracy's sort of highlighted there. And on the screen, what you've got is a quick summary really of the 3 core objectives of the platform, raising awareness for young people about all of those opportunities, those different projects that are going on across the city and all of the boroughs across Greater London as well, and in turn raising aspirations as well. So the more young people become familiar with these stories, if you like, these opportunities, these big projects that they walk past, that they see, that they hear about, unpicking that and helping them to see that there are opportunities for them in all of these projects across different sectors in different areas of London as well. And in doing so, showcasing to them information that's going to make some of their choices, whether that's at GCSE, into post-16, post-18 and beyond, more informed. So making them more aware, aspiring to certain jobs, certain pathways, and then finding out about how to achieve those. And lots of that all comes back to, if we're thinking of it in terms of Gatsby benchmarks in particular, the second benchmark around learning from labour market information. That's the predominant reason and objective of this platform. There's lots of really good stuff going on, so let's lift the lid on that and get kids excited about it, more informed and aspiring to progress down these pathways into these opportunities as well. In a nutshell, that's what we're aiming to do. Just before I continue, we're going to get a little bit of audience participation. And before I move on to the next bit where I talk about a little bit about how we see this platform and this resource being part of your broader careers programme, what we wanted to ask was, where do you currently get your careers information for young people from? I'm going to bring up a few options now. You can choose as many as you like, and there might be some on there that, there might be some places that aren't on there, in which case you can tell us that it's another place, or you might not know, in which case choose that option. But if I just bring up this now, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds just to click the answers to where you currently get careers information for young people. So I'm just going to launch that now. So that should be on screen. Hopefully my colleagues will tell me if they can't see it. But yeah, if you just start clicking through. Just give that another 10 seconds or so. Excellent, good stuff. Let me end that there. So hopefully I'm sharing that back to you as well. So you can see there, there's a decent spread. People using different career software. National Career Service information is well used, and some other people using some other sources, which are no doubt local resources and various organisations offering services and information. So there's never one place, obviously, in terms of where this information comes from, but it's really useful for us to know that where people are getting their information from. Stop sharing that now. Reason why I want to share that is because online careers information is obviously only one part of where young people kind of self-service their information, resources that you're able to get lesson plans and various things from to share with young people. There's lots of other things that go on within a careers programme as well, you know. The whole objective of the Start in London LMI platform is kind of in the middle of the diagram there. It's about inspiring and exciting young people and helping them to be more informed about their career pathways, their study pathways. that's only going to be useful if it's used in conjunction with all these other things that you do. Now, some of that in the top right there of the screen is digital careers learning. You might already use our Start software. Likewise, there's plenty of other things out there that you could be using as well. But away from that, there's personal guidance, there's options and choices processes, there's PSHE, there's lessons, there's personal development, and not to mention all of the other drop-down days, enterprise days, mock interviews, and everything that kind of builds and creates that holistic careers program. The idea of this platform and where you should think about it is a source of information that should feed a lot of that. How can students become more informed before they sit down with a guidance advisor to have a conversation? What should students be thinking about before they make their options choices at post 16 or beyond? Now, a little bit later, I'm going to ask John to talk a bit about some practical examples of that. He's the one who's creating a lot of this resource and a lot of the lesson plans and teacher support guides to go with this. So he's just going to give you a bit of an insight into what he's doing there and some of the things that you could apply this labour market information to as you move into next year. But I just wanted to outline that this is very much a resource to complement a lot of the things, a lot of the tools and a lot of the activities that you're kind of doing already. So that was that. A second poll before I move on to showing you a little bit more about the platform, and I'll tell you why I'm asking this question in just a moment. What I'll do first is I'm going to put the next poll up, so just give me 1 second to do that. And the question is how many jobs are there across London? Again, I'll give you about 20 seconds or so to answer this one. Okay, good stuff. So most people got that right, but there was a bit of a spread. And the truth is, there is, unless you've done your reading, there's no real way in which you would just know that. I'm thinking that hopefully, most people had a rough, educated guess at that. But in truth, the whole point is that there is so much going on out there and so many good things. It's impossible for anybody to know absolutely everything that is going on. And so the whole point of this labour market information platform is to be sharing those stories, to help you to find the information easily, but also to help you to use that with young people to inform all of those career learning activities and processes and moments of choice that they go through as well. It should be an aid to advisors and teachers as they're delivering their careers programmes. So to tell you a little bit more about what we've actually got on the platform when it launches, I'm just going to go through a few slides and a few screen grabs now. So in terms of, if you just look to the right hand side of the screen at the moment, those kind of few bullet points just to explain what's in there. We've got lots of information around different study pathways, qualifications and courses. Now, there's lots of information already out there about what's a GCSE, a T-level, an apprenticeship, an A-level. So I'm not really talking about that information as such, although we will, we can provide links off to that information. What we're talking about is very specific information around education pathways and qualifications that links into what's available in terms of each of the boroughs, but also those different sectors and projects and employers. We focus more on the qualifications and pathways related to those as well. So we're going quite detailed in terms of if young people are interested in construction, they're in London, what are the opportunities and the qualifications and courses that they can pursue. So we've got information around that. We then look at labour market information through two main lenses, and I'll talk about those in a second. One of them is via boroughs, so young people are able to think about their immediate locality, and the other is via industry, so across London. what does, and I've used construction already as an example, so I'll continue to, what does construction look like across Greater London? Where is it, you know, where are the big projects, what do they involve, what kind of opportunities and pathways and jobs? So we look at it at industry level as well, and through that we tease out different jobs, different careers and different pathways. So there's lots of information in there, and we'll show some of that in a second. But one of the key things, one of the things that makes this different to just a website that provides information, is that within this, and as students explore, we're going to give them an opportunity to create their START profile. Now, if you've already used START in the past, you might be familiar with what the START profile looks like. And we've been doing some work on that. We've been improving it. We've been taking feedback from schools. And what you've got there is a mock-up of what the profile is going to start to look like on this new LMI platform. So as students start to explore pathways and jobs and careers, we're going to be asking them to tell us what they're interested in, what they're aspiring to do, what their intended destinations are, and to populate their profile with that. And they'll be populating it based on what they're finding as they explore these different resources. So the idea is that the students engage with labour market information, they should be getting something tangible and meaningful out of it. They should be documenting the things that they're interested in. That's really helpful for them as they reach different transition stages, but it's also really useful for them to have conversations with yourselves as teachers, as tutors, as advisors as well, because it helps to inform their decisions, share information with you, and you're able to better support them through their next steps as well. So we see the START profile as a really key addition to this site, helping students to capture interests and aspirations as well. Before we go into a few more screen grabs and examples of what we're doing at boroughs and what we're doing at industry level, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that we see as it just as important as the labour market information that we put onto the platform. Equally as important is the approach that we take to making it usable. So we need this information to be consumable by young people and easy to use by teachers, and including non-career staff as well. So we've been working hard on the lesson plans and the materials that we can use that are both teacher facing and student facing. And my colleague John, who's on the call, I'm going to introduce him now and ask him just to say a few words, because he's been the one that's leading this. So John, if you wanted just to say a little bit more about the resources that you're creating and just some ideas as well of how people can start thinking over the summer about how practically this could be applied next year when they've got access to the resource.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, so a way I've approached this is like with the profile that we've got at the start. That is encapsulating and capturing everything that you would ideally want to see from a careers advisor's point of view when you get a young person in front of you. Well, if you've got the blank profile, then they will be working through them to start populate that as they work through the platform and start seeing the areas that they can like and dislike and things and populate that. And that makes that personalized guidance session a little bit more meaningful, and you've got some sort of like purpose and an outcome from that. But what you see on the screen in front of you is a way to get that not just, well, outside of just the careers guidance appointment. We know teachers come across the students more times than a careers guidance counsellor would. I would probably say in schools that I worked at, I'd see a student once if I was lucky across an academic year, but that form tutor or the maths teacher or the history teacher, they will see that student more than once. So there's so many different ways for the careers education to make that impact on them. So what we did was, and what I've done was to create something that what a teacher would really like, what I would like to see as an advisor who was delivering a session, and things that almost make it exciting for a student. So I've given you the tools basically. So what you get is a lesson plan, and on that lesson plan, it's very much delivered in a not a spoon-fed, but a prescribed way of, you know exactly what you're getting when you're focusing that session. So the one you see on the screen there, that's based on London boroughs. But there are 4, because the sessions that I've created, that they build up like a cake. So the first bit we do is your foundations, which is what the boroughs are, is understanding the things that's going around them and starting to get an understanding of jobs that are related to some of those local things that they're interested in. And then we build on that, because once they've identified some of those jobs and become more aware of the industries that contribute to those, we then have another session on industries and another session then which builds on that, which is qualifications. And you get a series, a pack of lesson materials that as a teacher or careers leader, careers advisor, if you're thinking of delivering something across an academic year or to contribute to your stable careers program, this very much would fit that piece, that puzzle piece. You get a starter activity, and I think with every sort of session you have, getting the kids to start thinking about outside of the box with a starter activity, why you've got there in that example, write down 2 jobs that they can use, and each one of the PowerPoints that provide in this pack is editable, and there's guidance notes of what's required to do with that. But you have the main learning activity, and the main thing which every sort of careers guidance intervention, guidance session, classroom session, whatever, there should be an opportunity for students to reflect. So there's that opportunity on there with a clear guide to whoever's delivering it, whether you've got background or not, what kind of things you want those students to be taken out of that session. And then we have a what's coming next in the building part of it. There's a worksheet that accompanies that session. So practicalities, it can be delivered to all students individually. So it could be that you've got access to computers in one room. Students can access that with the PowerPoint on the screen, with a worksheet to work through. Teacher can set them on their way and what they need to do. Or you could do it as a whole class using the resource, which is the platform or the page, as that main presentational screen. But again, that lesson plan almost steps you through that and how to get through each part of the session, so that the students are leaving with it and thinking, I want to find out more, or actually I've completed this part of my profile. When I have my next session or my guidance session, I'm going to start building up this bigger picture. So when it comes to building or choosing things like my GCSE options, my post-16 options, I've got a clear idea what I'm thinking, and it's not that dreaded I don't know response that a lot of advisors, teachers, parents will get when they speak to young people and say, what are you thinking about when you want to leave school? I don't know. So that should fix that. Now, in terms of how you can deliver it and things you can do over the summer, if you haven't already started to plan or plot your year, it's quite open to how you deliver it. So you could deliver them, because these have been designed in a 20 to 30 minute session. You could deliver them as part of tutor groups. You could, because of each story, depending on how many stories there is in a borough, you could break that up even more and have several sessions, tutor sessions, across an entire week. You could do a session across 1 week across 7 weeks, so that's a whole term. It might be that you are focusing one of your weeks or an area or a part of the year around a specific subject, so you can link in careers across the curriculum. So if you're thinking about engineering things, you can link in the construction or the manufacturing section that's on there, and then linking that into the subject material, so students then complete and say whether they're interested in it or not. And that it also helps with you to identify the gaps. So if you've got students who are all saying they're interested in specific areas, you've got an opportunity to be able to say, hang on, there's an opportunity here to get more input towards a sector that they weren't so familiar with. And each one, again, it gives them that opportunity to find that. So, I mean, things that, again, they can do over the summer, you could do over the summer, is try and plot them out across an academic year, plot them across whether it's you deliver them in your tutor sessions, it could be that you deliver them in your enrichment sessions after school. It might be that you run lunchtime sessions with specific groups who have said that they're interested in specific industries or with employers. And again, that helps you to probably bring in some cornerstone employers for workshops with them. A great thing I always think is to try and engage the parents as well. So you might have this worksheet here, or thinking about that, you could send them home when you do the session, but in a lead up, it could be that you steer parents down to look at the start profile, start platform, and they can start capturing some of the things that are interesting. So when they start looking at the actual platform and these areas, they know kind of an idea of what the things that they like and the things they discuss with their parents. But yeah, so it's mainly 4 sessions across the pages, each having the main sort of like start activities and outcomes to come and filled up into their profiles. But many ideas, again, career days, career weeks, enrichments, tutor sessions, career events, everything that we've done or everything I've created should be delivered alongside that or as part of that program. So hopefully that's got you excited to want to know more about it. So I can pass you back to John.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. So let's have a look at the content then that will live on the platform that's going to help underpin a lot of the resources that John's just talked through there. So if we start looking at some of those borough level LMI stories, there's just an example there on screen that we're building. So within Barking and Dagenham, there's film studios, we've got videos, we're going to have images, infographics, information for students. And whilst a lot of that can be looked at and self-serviced by the student, all of those plans and resources that John's been creating will complement this content, if you like, the information that is on the site. So you can then turn it into these lessons and these kind of short activities that build on each other. And you can decide how, and John gave some examples, but you can decide how you want to roll that out into your school or college throughout the year as well. But as students are going through the different pages on the site and exploring this information, and the resources will guide you to the bits that I'm about to show now, they'll come across jobs and careers such as, we've got examples there, a camera operator, finance officer, makeup artist. We need to give young people an idea of the breadth of jobs that exist in these different areas and industries and boroughs. And as they do so, you'll see there on the screen, they've got these opportunities to engage. So yes, I like the idea of that, or no, I don't like the idea of that. And we're going to come on to in a moment towards the end, just a reminder as to why it's important to create student accounts to be able to engage with this. So rather than just being a website full of information, we want students to engage so that they can tell us what they're interested in. That's going to help them to build their start profile. So as well as the resources John talked about being useful for you to be able to deliver stuff, it's also really important that it's driving students to these bits of the site so they can capture their interests and start building their profile as well. So another way of looking at the labour market information is through these kind of pan-London industries. So examples of some on the board there, admin and support services, construction, creative industries, those that are where the big stories are happening and the opportunities are, we want to be able to share those with students as well. And again, we'll be pulling out there some trends of what's happening at a global level, what's happening nationally, and what's happening locally within London and in different boroughs as well. And again, giving students the opportunity to tell us which jobs they're interested in, which jobs that they're maybe not so interested in. So as they engage with the LMI, there's a purpose to it for them as well. Using construction as my example, I'm coming back there. So behind that example of kind of industries in London, construction, students will be able to expand that further and start to focus on the sector. So learn more about the employers that exist within the area, learn more about some of those big projects that are happening and all the jobs that are needed to make sure that these big projects come together. But a big piece of that as well is, well, if a student's interested, what's their next step? So instead of us focusing on general information about what are GCSEs and A-levels and so on and so forth, the approach that we're taking with the LMI site is to focus on sectors and the qualifications and pathways information there. So an example there that's just popped up on screen is, if we're looking at the construction sector, then we're going to be pulling through information that shows the different pathways. So example there on screen, architecture, engineering, environmental conservation, all of those that map into that broader construction industry and allow students to search either by subjects, by providers, by qualification types, within 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles of themselves, of where those opportunities are, which providers are offering which pathways as well. So lots of that information is going to be sucked through into the site and surfaced on these different sector pages. But what we also want to do is, as well as courses and qualifications, we want to focus on meaningful opportunities for young people. So there will be lots of employers out there and providers who have got other opportunities that aren't necessarily courses. So they could be site visits, they could be work experience opportunities, internships, all of these things as well. We want to work with the careers hubs and we want to work with partners in the region to be able to pull that information through as well, so that young people and teachers have got one place to go to be able to find these opportunities. Again, other examples could be virtual work experiences, anything that's going on that is related to these kind of key industries that we're exploring. we can provide the information on here and link them off to those providers. So we'll be looking to work with not just employers, but other organisations who have got an offer for schools and students in London, that we can engage with them and help to pull their opportunities through onto these opportunities listings, if you like, so that everybody's got the opportunity to engage with them. Just an example there of the kind of information that students will be able to see, and again, how they'll be able to click through, find out more opportunities, apply for these opportunities as well. So that's all part of the plan. So that brings me on to the kind of final couple of slides, really. We're just trying to give you a taster for what's coming at the moment. So this is going to be going live in September. So at this point, I just want to ask my colleague Louise just to say a few words about the support that we're going to be able to offer you now, starting pretty much today, right the way through the next academic year. Louise?
Hello. Yeah, thanks to John for introducing me there. So as you can see on the slide, I'm going to be talking through the support that we can offer you with the new platform. The new platform is free to use, and free access to our user management package will also be given to you, as this is required for you to onboard and create accounts for your schools, students and staff. It is important that you make use of the bulk user onboarding service, as it means your students can create and build their profile whilst allowing staff to also manage all of the student accounts sort of all under one roof. John, I think, will be touching on this later. Our webinars as well that you can see are mentioned will be taking place across the rest of this year and next, and we have some webinars taking place this September. They will be talking about more getting started with the new academic year, and they'll include some practical tips on how to get going. Later on and throughout the academic year, we do have some other webinars that we'll be delivering that will centre more around themes and best practice as you go throughout the academic year. Access to our help desk. So as you can see here, we've got a contact of support@uexplore.com. It'll be myself that mans the support desk, and I'll be available to answer any and all questions, provide you with support. My colleague Jenna as well, who's also on the call, she'll be organising the Getting Started webinars that I've mentioned in September. If you've got any questions related to that, you can send those via the support link there to the help desk, and either myself or Jenna will be in touch. Also, if you already do use Start, the logins that you already have will work absolutely fine on the new platform. And if you also subscribe to our resources and reporting package, you'll be able to make use of the additional reporting tool that will be available on the new platform.
Thanks, Louise.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah, really good point there, because I've noticed on the kind of participant list, there are a few familiar names there, so I'm sure there are some people on the call who do use Start already as their career software, and great that this, like I mentioned earlier on, we want the LMI site to be complementary to whichever one you use, but obviously it's an added bonus if you use Start already, because your logins will work already, and yeah, added benefit as well that with this new LMI platform, our intention is that we will be adding the opportunity for teachers to be able to report on the student profiles, to be able to see the things that they're interested in as well. So again, if you've already got that as part of your Start subscription, it's great. You'll be able to benefit from those new reports as well. But if you don't, then obviously when you engage with Louise, just ask about that. And as part of the setting up process, we can talk you all through that as well. So a final few next steps before we finish. So watch out for an email coming from Louise. That will be with you within the next kind of 24 hours. That's going to be a follow-up to this. It will include the recording. I'll edit out that little bit that we got JP interrupted at the beginning there. But we'll make sure that you get the copy of this. You'll also get a link to how to subscribe to the webinar series, so you can register yourself for what's going to start in September. lots of different dates for you to choose from to suit you for those. And then the series that runs throughout the year will be best practice, and we'll be inviting some speakers along to those as well. They'll include employers and other partners, so well worth registering for those webinars too. And what we'll also do is include a link in the email that if you've never used Start before, or if you have been using it but students have just been creating their own accounts, then absolutely do get in touch with us using the link that we'll send you to request setting up with our onboarding service, because it just allows you to really quickly create your student accounts in bulk, and then they've got access. And like Louise has said, it just ensures then that any issues moving forward, you can help to reset passwords and various things. But also, then a student's got an account, that they can start creating their profile and engaging with the content on the platform. So you'll get that from us in the next 24 hours with everything that you need. And like I say, the platform is coming this September, so the link to where to go to access this new site, that will be made available in September. So come along to those early webinars to find out what that is. But via your careers hubs, we'll be communicating out as well anyway. So you won't miss it, I promise. And you'll be able to start accessing the information when you get back in the new academic year. So we're done. Thank you very much. If you've got a question, make sure you drop us an email via the support email that's on the screen now. If you've got any questions that you want to stick around and ask in the chat, I'm sure Louise has probably got an eye on some of those if they've come through. I can answer them, or any of the colleagues on the call can answer them as well. So, but if you need to get off, thank you for attending. Louise, any questions? Oh, you're on mute, I think.
No questions as of yet.
No questions. Okay. Well, we'll hang around. If you need to go, by all means, thanks very much. If you want to stick around or pop a question in the chat, we'll stick around for another 5 minutes or so.